All right, we are recording here at the Green Top Outdoor Expo. This is actually not even day one. This is Friday before the expo, but took a good moment because it's a good break in the day, so we can sit down and take a break and talk about Scent Thief. And I have with me today, I got Russell Epperson and David Langston, and we're going to sit here and talk about Scent Thief because this is a phenomenal product that's out now. And I remember we talked about it at SHOT Show in January, and I was very impressed with it. But there's a really cool story behind where and how you got to where you are today, Russell.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of anxious to hear about it.
Well,
Yeah,
I'd love to tell you.
and I want to set it up a little bit too with Russell because Russell's so unique and got a great story. But it's me having been in the hunting industry since really 1998,
Yeah.
and we started on Muzzy's pro staff, got a job with Muzzy Broadheads, went to Hunter Safety System, great story. But I was at Realtree when you and I first met, as a matter of fact, Hunter. And so the guys here really got to know real close. Green Top's kind of become a family to me. And so from Blaine to all those guys down in Glen and that crew. So, but I was at Realtree, and David Blanton and Brad Shore walked in. And David Blanton hardly ever specifically, when we're at Realtree talking, it's business or, hey, how you doing? How's your family? Just a great guy. As you know David,
Oh,
you know
yeah.
how he is. But David come in and said, boys, y'all got to try this product. And I'm like, David never talks about a product. What are you talking about? And so Brad Shore said, we have been using this out at Perry Ross's place in Kansas. And he said, Perry's just crazy about it. And we got hooked on it. And I'm looking at it, and it's the old bottle and this kind of stuff. And so I'm like, okay. And I just happened to be leaving the next day, headed to Kansas. That's why David told me to use it, or Brad, and wanted me to use it. So I grabbed me a bottle of it, and I was like, man, it kind of smells different. It smells like a dirt, earth. I couldn't figure out what it was. It's just different. And so I go out to Kansas. Well, I living there in Alabama. I drove about 10 hours to where I hunted in Kansas, and I'd always kind of my routine. I'd get there at the edge of this field, and I'd get out in glass. But I'd been driving, so I had my street clothes on. I'd just walk over the edge of this field, and I'm looking clear across this field with a spotting scope, watching these big deer where they come in off of this government land onto this private land that I was getting to hunt. And so every year we'd kind of set up there. Well, I thought, I sprayed it down. I said, man, I don't know. This stuff is different. I've never smelled anything like this. And I spray myself down with it. And I go sit down on this little chair right in the edge of this field. And 15 minutes after I get set down, in my street clothes, just drove 10 hours, I see a doe and two little ones walk out, and the wind is blowing right to them. And I thought, well, this is about to be over with. And that doe just kind of picked her head up, and all of a sudden she started walking to me. And I'm just sitting there not moving on the corner of this field, and she literally comes from me to you and them two little ones with the wind blowing from my stinky self right to her. And I'm thinking, what in the world? And I couldn't wait to watch. Dust went down, sun went down, deer out in front of me, wind blowing right to them, because I was looking far in. I wasn't worried about the wind right here where I was.
Sure.
And so I get in, and I call Brad Short Realtree, and I said, what in the world is this stuff? He said, man, I told you. I said, no, there's something going on here. There's something to this. And so they later introduced me to Russell's partner now, Jay Carpenter, who had come in and invested in and become a partner and owner in the company. And so I just said, you don't understand. You've really got something here. I've been playing this game for 25 years and used everything there is. And so I said, you guys have really got something. And so that's how I became acquaintance with them, started helping them out, did a little consulting for the company on the side, and that's how this all came about. And so finally it got to the point where they called me and said, hey, you want to help build one more brand, old man? I said, I think I could help maybe build one more brand and kind of let this be my ride off into the sunset.
There you
But
go.
love the company, love the family, and I'm excited for you to get to hear Russell's story, because today in the hunting industry, so many of the private equity groups have bought the family business, and rightfully so. When they come on an offer, if I were one of those guys, and I was one with the Broadhead Company, and these guys come and just they make an offer that's very tough for these family to turn away or walk away from, and so that's just so what that's done though is so many of the products we now sell still have a lot of that atmosphere, in the industry, but a lot of them are owned by private equity groups now.
Right.
And so this was another reason, a family-owned business. It had a great story of Russell, how he came about it, that you're going to get to hear, how the product was invented, patented, the process that it went through, but also we know a lot of guys out there, they can be a great product, but if you don't have the money to tell people about it, it makes it really tough for that product to grow. And so Russell was in that situation, and where the Carpenter family come in and said, look, we are hunters. We love this product so much that we'd like to buy it. And so that's a great story that Russell can tell a little bit more about me. And so real fortunate to be a part of it. I'm running sales and marketing for the company, and so it's a great family, a great team. We've now got a great sales force around us, and so it's pretty cool seeing the snowball get bigger and bigger as we know it's about to go over the hill.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's a lot of fun. But Russell, tell them a little bit about it. I love your story of as far as a kid growing up in Missouri, being a trapper and all that stuff. So I'm sure you'll get into it better than me.
It's just, first of all, I want to thank you for having us down here. Excited to be in this part of the country. We really haven't got much word out into this part of the area, so guys are going to be excited. Like in my hometown, everybody's known me and everybody uses the product and knows how good it is. And David has just been a tremendous, one of the best things that's ever happened to our company as far as growing a company. But yeah, when Scent Thief come along, I was a trapper, and I got bit hard by trapping when I was 12 years old. And it was one of them deals to where that's what I want to do. And it just was a deal where I didn't play much sports. I'd rather be trapping animals.
Yeah.
And I made pretty good money. And actually, I was making more money than my mom and dad put together once I got it all figured out. But my big deal was, man, how can I catch more coyotes? How can I eliminate that coyote from digging my trap up? I mean, I'd go all season, I might catch one or two. And I just studied the nose. I went from the school to the library. My mom would pick me up after she got off work, and I'd mix this stuff up in what we call a basement. Was an old root cellar we had, and I just mix this stuff up and keep trying. And I finally got the right combination, and it was, it was a God thing. It's like, oh my gosh. So I go running in the house with my skunk essence because I made all my own baits. I ground up my skunk. I extracted my skunk essence. And I went running there was skunk essence, and my mom was saying, get that out of the house. She was like, how many times do I got to tell you? She's laying it on me. And I said, Mom, you have got to see this. And I had that skunk essence in a vial, and I took that Scent Thief, and I did it in a paper towel, a wax form at that point, and put it in there with it. And she goes, oh, my gosh, I can't smell the skunk. I said, man, I've got it. And it was almost like overnight,
How long ago was this?
Oh gosh, I was 13 years old. I really perfected at age 17.
Okay.
That's when I really got it into a water form in a base where we could actually spray it on us. I had it in a wax form and in a paste form. So I covered my traps. I made all my wax dirt, and then I didn't have any dig ups. They had no idea that I'd even been there. And I went from 5 coyotes a year to 80 overnight. And I made more money than my mom and dad put together, and that's a serious struggle. To go to school, there was times I'd barely get out of the skin shed, change my clothes, and get on the school bus.
Wow.
And if it hadn't been for my lovely wife, I probably wouldn't have done so well in high school. But she helped me get through my classes. So there was a lot of work put into that deal, and then I was a heavy equipment mechanic for Minnesota Mines, and when I had time off, I trapped. And I still trap for the state of Missouri. I've been there about, now I've trapped 37 years for them. So for predator control and beaver control, big farmers up there, and trap all the beavers out. So that's where this really came into play, and I've been very blessed that I had a medical doctor there that my grandpa owned a farm implement. It's kind of a long story, but I'll try to shorten everything up.
No, you're good.
And we did all the mechanic work for this medical doctor. And by the way, who had delivered me, I was his third baby in 1964. And little did I know that he would soon hire my wife as a CEO student. I told Doc after I was working on his tractors and stuff, I met this girl, I really like her. And I said, she really needs a job. And so she went from high school, worked half a day, so she'd worked for him for a little over 36 years. But the cool thing about that is Doc was a big game hunter. So I told him, on Christmas, I said, man, if you ever need anybody to go take your pictures or tell your story, I'm the guy, and I've got a product I'd like to try.
Yep.
And so I was fortunate enough to go on 31 big game hunts all around the world, and we used the product on every one of them. And Africa will call it voodoo in a bottle. And until COVID come along, When COVID come along, everybody says it's COVID in a bottle. So what really happens to Scent Thief is what really makes it work. It's much different than all our other products where they use an enzyme. They try to eat at the odor. They try to maybe overpower the epithelium, and a lot of people need to understand the epithelium is where all the receptors meet, and then it meets at the epithelium, and the epithelium then sends it to an olfactory gland that sends the message to the brain and says, yeah, you know what, that smells like coffee. So and you retain these memories, and usually starting at the age of 11 to 22, we retain about 2,200 memories, which was very interesting. And it's fun because whenever you're doing consumer shows like we're going to be doing tomorrow and talking to people, when they've got young kids, I love that.
Yeah.
Because that just shows them more about how Scent Thief works. It's very hard product to sell because everybody's tried everything on the market, and then I come out with a product that actually has a smell, or what you think you smell. It has an odor.
Right.
And everybody's going, well, man, I ain't using that stuff because this stuff smells, you know. But actually, that smell was put in there because when I was doing my patent, and by the way, I have 2 patents on this product. It's the only product that's ever been patented with its own unique smell. So I've created a whole new element of smell, and it's what you call it. It's not once you get to using Scent Thief, you'll recognize it as Scent Thief, but it's a whole new element of smell. And so the Department of Justice come down pretty hard on me when I was doing the studies. And I think probably some of them studies either come from the patent attorney or from the universities we had doing the study. But anyway, they show up at my trapper supply store. I had retired and I was pushing this to get my patent, trying to get Scent Thief out in front of everybody. And they come in and said, you're not selling this anywhere. So
They thought he was trying to fool drug dogs. They thought he was actually working for the cartels or
Yeah,
something like
so-
that, trying to stop drug dogs.
Yeah.
Because
You
it,
gotta
wa-
be
it,
kidding me.
no,
that
he does some neat tests. I want to.
this stuff really does work. And so there we go again. Everything's kind of put on hold to dump a bunch of more money in it, try to figure out, well, what are we going to do?
And the government's
Yeah.
roadblocking you on this.
Yeah, I've got the head letter.
I mean,
right
that's
there.
the worst roadblock of all.
Absolutely. Department
You
of
know?
Justice. They
Yeah.
showed up at the door, took my notes, they took my computer, and I'll tell you what saved me. When I was at the library, my librarian had me sign and date every piece of paper I did, and he gave it to my mom. And he says, Beulah, I've never seen a kid work so hard in my life. There's going to be something with this. You need to keep this. So every test, every study I did, I signed and dated. She gave it to my mom. My mom put it in a shoebox. When I was 17 years old, my house burned down. Our house burned down. My
Oh,
dad
man.
was at home. The only thing we saved out of that house was that shoebox.
No kidding.
Dad ran in
Isn't
there,
that awesome?
grabbed that shoebox.
Awesome.
It's the only thing he could get his hands on.
I still
But he-
get cold chills.
He
every
grabbed
time.
that
Oh, man.
shoebox and out the door he went. So in that shoebox, it showed them that I wasn't after drugs.
Right.
I'm after how can I catch more coyotes? How can I kill more deer? How can I eliminate that animal's ability to smell?
Yeah.
And so what I did was create an element that's in here, and through the evaporation of Scent Thief, it relaxes the epithelium. And that goes back to the African saying, hey, it's voodoo in a bottle.
Yeah.
So it eliminates the animal's ability to smell. It doesn't overpower it. It doesn't do anything like that. It doesn't use an enzyme. It doesn't do anything like that. But through the evaporation of that, it relaxes the epithelium. So we're in many funeral homes, nursing homes, my local coroners. We're in one of the largest crime investigation labs there is in the United States, in the Midwest. And this is a product that now has helped these folks go in and take care of what they need to do on a daily basis without any smell. So they no longer have to use Vicks, or they no longer have to put cigarettes or orange peelings up their nose. Or, you
Right.
wouldn't believe the testimonies that we get with this product. So in the hunting industry, we just started handing it out. Try this. Make sure it works the same for you as it does for everybody else. And I wanted to be that way. It worked so well for me, I wanted to make sure it worked for everybody else because everybody might smell different.
Sure.
And so it just blew up. I mean, it just started going through the roof.
One of the great things about this too is that we can actually prove it. You
Yes.
go grab any other product on the shelf, and I don't care if that company's president is there, they can't stand there across from you and prove that it works.
That
We're
it
about
works,
to
yeah.
prove to you
Yeah.
how it works, and you can see that. And so that's what we'll be doing this weekend, and hopefully people that may listen to this or anybody come by, and we're going to show you how to do it yourself. But you can prove how Scent Thief works, and that is something that separates us from the pack. Because in a sense, I tell everybody this is really a new category. This is a new category because there's really truly nothing else like what this does. Everything else is a product. I always use the example that Jacob, our marketing manager, came up with. For years, when you get out of the truck, it don't matter if you grab a Scent-Away or a Dead Downwind or a Wildlife Research or a Nose Jammer. You spray yourself down with it. You spray your pack. You spray your clothes. You spray your boots. You throw it in the truck and you go hunt. Well, that's a product that you prep with. Scent Thief is a product that you hunt with.
Right.
You have to take Scent Thief with you. You have to reapply it because it has to be in the air. We say about every 60 to 90 minutes, there's a neat QR code on all of our products that you can scan and see a neat video of how this works. But that's the biggest difference is this is not a product that you prep with. This is a product that you hunt with.
Yeah, and another big point about Scent Thief is that we have a 12-year and growing shelf life.
Oh,
So
wow.
the stuff don't go bad. It's bottled in an FDA-approved facility. There is nothing in there that's going to hurt anybody.
Right.
And
Well,
so
is it like essential oils?
it's
or is
essential oils. And
Really?
it's the patent is the process of how I put those essential oils together that relaxes the epithelium in the evaporation.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know
Novocaine.
too. Like
it's Novocaine to the nose. It's basically a medicine
Yeah.
that as you're breathing this through your receptors, it relaxes the epithelium. The thing that we have a hard time presenting to everybody is, yeah, it does have a smell or what we think is a smell,
Yeah.
but it had to be put in there. If I can't sell the other stuff, and
Yeah.
so it, and I understand that. I don't want that problem either. They use them drug dogs and mind dogs. They use all that, so they need to be able to pick up stuff. So it is recognizable.
Yeah.
And so, but we brought a test for you today.
Okay.
To show you how Scent Thief works, and we can kind of even change how you think it smells.
Okay.
And so this is just a real foul odor. I put this together because I'm a
Great.
trapper, and the reason I do that is I want it to be offensive. I want it to be nauseating.
Okay.
So when they did the test in the college, they brought in people and didn't tell them why. They set them in a room, and they opened up my 100% skunk acid that I extracted, set it in the middle of a table, and they brought in 10 people and placed them around the table. Over in the corner was a coat rack with Scent Thief saturated towel hanging on the coat rack. They come in one by one. They were like, oh my gosh, they're getting sick to their stomach. They don't want to be around it. They all ended up in that corner, not knowing anything about it. And then they took them out, brought them in one by one. Asked them, how come you ended up over there? Because we got over there, we could smell it. We weren't nauseated. We were comfortable. It was relaxing. We didn't want to be around it.
Yeah.
So, and same thing with your deer. When they come in and they're going to get Scent Thief, as long as they're in the Scent Thief wind cone, they're going to become very relaxed because they're free of all threatening odors. And it's only instantaneous. When they walk out of Scent Thief, take one breath, they can smell again. This stuff don't work that way. It's only when you're in the evaporation, as that's being evaporated off your clothes, off your backpack, or anything like that. So as long as that wind cone is blowing in their direction and just a molecule of Scent Thief is in the air is all it needs. I built this for human because we don't have near the receptors.
Right.
But it's the same product we sell in the funeral homes and the nursing homes. So it has to be, but I also had to have a way to prove it. So this product comes with a 100% money back guarantee. None of the other products can do this. You can't take any of them other products and prove to me that it ate the enzymes. Tell me it ate the odor. Or show me how that eats. You could leave it in there all week and you're still going to have a poopy smell.
Yeah.
And so with Scent Thief, what we've created here is we can physically test the product. When people are calling me and say, how do you know it's working? Then I tell them, go out and get you a bag full of manure.
Yeah.
Spray it.
Whatever.
And
Anything
you smell it.
that stinks.
Anything that stinks.
And
Yeah,
so I put
try
together
this.
a real foul, it's old rotten gut stuff. I'm going to be honest with you. It's got to
All
be
right.
something very offensive.
Can't wait.
You don't want to be around it. Almost,
Now-
you can't hardly breathe after you smell it.
Now, what I tell people all the time too, you go out there and you get anything in that store
Yeah.
and you put it on top of that, and it's going to be a combination.
Yeah.
It's not going to get rid of that smell.
Right.
Now, this right here is live for you. Go ahead,
This,
Russell.
this is still exposed. This
Okay.
is evaporating out of the bag, and your ability to smell the foul odor.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead and bury up in it. You
Yeah.
won't smell it. Be honest. Be truthful.
I mean, it's You can't smell it at all.
It's completely gone.
And you feel
Now-
it's soothing. It's relaxing.
Yeah.
It kind of, you feel that pressure. You spray this on your hands. That will not hurt you. But we tell everybody, what do you think you smell it? Just,
I need to put this on when I get home.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just relax my wife.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
But it's just a relaxing, a soothing. You could feel that.
That's
working.
amazing.
And I don't care what's in the bag, whether it's gasoline,
and
diesel
that's what.
fuel.
Yeah, it don't matter.
It don't matter.
That's
And
what
it
happens.
has a whether it's that or any other cover scent or eliminator scent, they all have a smell to it.
Well,
And I've never liked that type of smell. This has like a natural
Earthy smell.
something natural
so
about
it's natural. So
Yeah.
that's it. And so in the funeral home business, when Jay come along, he used it on elk hunting, and he told them to set him where they've never killed an elk, and he had elk bedding down under him. He's like, oh my God. He calls me, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
I've hunted my whole life. I've never seen this. So,
Yeah.
but he was worried because we started doing consumer shows, and people were saying, well, man, that smells like kerosene or diesel fuel or whatever, because they're trying to connect that to a memory, and the first thing comes to the mind is what they call it. And he goes,
Yeah.
what are we going to do to change that? And I said, Jay, it's very simple. In the funeral home business, we write fresh cut grass and flowers. And when they smell that like you just did, they go, wow, that smells like fresh cut flowers. Has nothing to do with
has
it.
nothing to do with
So
that.
we
yeah.
simply wrote earth scent on the bottle.
Yeah.
So that we're in a hunting environment. We want people to trigger, you know what, that is soothing. It's kind of pine cones or
Yep.
kind of an earth scent.
So this
So-
is really cool here too. So
We'll do it with
You-
this, with
you're-
his hand, rather than
yeah,
opening up
there you
smell
go.
stuff.
There you go.
But that just
So-
think of it like a
Hey, a
Sonic
piece of
mint.
pepper. Yeah, you know, you go to Sonic Drive-In,
Yeah.
and when you get done with the meal, everybody gets that little peppermint.
Yeah.
Eat that. Think about that peppermint. Now smell.
Yeah.
Smell peppermint.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one. When you get done mowing your yard and you got that good fresh cut grass smell.
Yeah.
Totally different than peppermint, but think about that fresh cut grass smell. Now
Oh, yeah.
smell that. Now you smell fresh cut
All right.
grass.
Yeah.
So
it's-
that's what
That's
it
the
is.
memory. That's that pulling that memory up. And that's what happens with your epithelium and your olfactories.
Right.
That's if you had a small child in here who doesn't have the memories that we have, they'll say, smells like candy
Yeah.
or flowers or I don't smell anything. A lot of them don't smell anything
Right.
Yeah.
because they don't have that memory to pull up like we do as adults.
Ah.
But if they have a memory, a lot of those kids will tell me it smells like bubble gum or a sucker
Yeah.
or cotton candy.
Okay.
Or,
Yeah.
because that's what their
That's
memory
what they're
of.
thinking about.
That's what they're thinking about.
And the cool thing about when an animal comes into contact with scent thief, it doesn't matter if it's the first time or the 100th time. Their olfactories are relaxed and they don't smell. They're
Yeah.
just coming in
Totally eliminated.
completely relaxed.
Which is what you want.
That's what you want.
100%.
And that's
Exactly.
what that's and eliminates them blowing. You sit right on top of wherever you want to hunt. So I want to get in on how to use the scent thief because
Yeah,
it's very,
absolutely.
very important.
Yep.
I get calls every day because I do have a 100% money back guarantee. You get blown with this stuff and it ain't working, I want to call because we're not using it right.
Yeah.
So I've been able to fix everybody that
No,
calls.
no smoking while you use scent thief,
It
right?
does, as long as you got this.
If you got that in there, it don't matter.
Probably don't
You
matter.
smoke a cigar.
Yeah, I don't
that,
care
with
what
that
you do.
stuff. It don't matter.
As long as this is applied to something that's going to retain and dispense. And we're
Okay.
working on dispensers, but we ain't got it mastered yet.
Okay.
So eventually we'll have a dispenser system that'll work. So for instance, I'm gonna spray it on your table. This is absolutely harmless. It
Yep.
won't stain anything. It won't stain your clothes. But this on a hard surface is not going to be around very long, especially if the winds are blowing.
Right.
If it's you're blowing it, it's just not going to.
It'll dissipate
It's
and dry.
it's going to
Okay.
dry so quick. There's nothing evaporating being carried. So it's real critical that people understand that you pay this on your clothes. That's the simplest way. Spray it on your clothes, your backpack. Turn it on stream and hit some leaves and stuff. If you do that every 45 minutes to an hour, I think you can get by a little longer than that, but we put that on there to be safe.
Okay.
So I don't get millions more calls. But if you do that, I promise you, when that deer comes in, he has no ability to smell you whatsoever.
You have to reapply it.
Just
That's the key.
reapply it, and that's the thing. And yes, you may think it has an odor, but that's what it has to have in order for it to work. And it also has to have that in there for me to sell it in the United States. So it's very critical that people understand, yeah, it might have an odor in it, but it's its own unique, the patent strictly states, it's its own unique smell of odor. So you may be in a funeral in Florida and walk through the door and you're going to go, wow, that's scent thief. It's because you've created that whole new bacon, that whole new coffee or whatever. But you don't create that with the animal. the animal never smells it at all.
Right.
And when it comes in there, you're going to see things you've never seen, like coyotes, where you used to where you walk in, the coyote come across that path, he turns somersault getting out of there.
Yeah.
You won't see that using scent thief. He will no longer smell that broken grass, and that's something that a coyote's smelling rather than a human. He's actually smelling the broken glass.
And because they've had this for so long, last year I got to go Scent Thief Farms. These guys have a phenomenal land in Kansas. How many? 3,500 acres?
3,500. Yeah.
In Kansas. All right,
Yeah.
where everybody wants to loan to go. They've got premium land. Okay, giant whitetails on the walls. Russell J, his dad, they've killed these giant monster whitetails.
Jay
Just people don't know about it.
Last year.
Yeah,
215.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, this is unbelievable. Because I'm going in from the industry. You know, they're trying to be in the industry, but they didn't really know a lot of folks. They don't watch the outdoor television that much. They didn't do those things. They're just some good old boys that like to kill big deer.
Yep.
And so Russell carries me out to see it, and the blind. They take these blinds and put them on top of these little platforms, like the pop-up blinds. They'll mount them to the platforms and get in it. But the feeder or the animals come in 10 yards.
10 yards, easy.
10 yards, 7 to 10 yards. And I'm like, wait a minute. That big deer is not going to come in here. And what we've done is I've learned to say, hey, that big deer, the does might come in, but that big deer, he's going to circle it downwind checking
Sure.
does.
Yeah.
And I need to get off on that and play the way he's going to circle. And so I'm going to be a good ways from the feeder, the way I've hunted Kansas, if I'm around a feeder or any kind of feed like that out there or any bait. And so totally different. When I come in and then I start seeing the footage of these big deer walking right in under their blind. And I'm like, what in the world? And this is 3,500 acres. So this ain't no tame deer. This is real deal. Yeah. And like you said, you start seeing animals that you would, bobcats or coyotes or things coming in right underneath you that you're like, I've never seen that before. And I've been hunting for 40 years. Yeah. And so that is the thing that's taking place with this. And what I love about it is what we'll see here this weekend, because like Russell said, we're just now getting into this part of the country. And they've either never heard of it, or they're like, that's the greatest stuff ever. You will never hear, yeah, I tried a little bit, it didn't really, you don't hear that.
Yeah.
You're like, man, this stuff is amazing. And so that's what's really fun. When we went this year, we went to the Pennsylvania Harrisburg show. And we were up there, and it was the same thing. Every single person that come by was like, that is the greatest stuff that's ever been made, or I never heard of it.
Yeah.
And so we're still in that phase of the company, building the brand. We're really fortunate with a lot of the personalities that are using it. The guys at Real Tree, Tyler Jordan uses it, Philip Culpepper uses it. This year, it was funny, when we did a press release, I started with the company in December, and so we did a press release, and I've known Levi Morgan for years, since he was a little kid.
Yeah.
And so Levi calls me, he says, Langston, you're not going to believe this. He said, I've been using that stuff for the last few years. I said, well, man, I said, why didn't you? He said, I didn't know who to call. I didn't know anybody. He said, and it was the Bomar guy got me using it.
Wow.
And so I was like, are you serious?
It's like the secret of the hunting industry, man.
And it has been.
So,
it has been.
So Levi's now officially on the team. We've got another giant surprise. We can't say his name until January 1, but probably the biggest one of them all is coming on board with us next year. That's too, good. Because same thing there is, man, this stuff is absolutely amazing. And so we've already had Levi just, you'll see the shows and stuff coming up, but Levi he said, he shipped me a picture of this monster mule deer. And he said the wind was swirling so bad, and he thought, well, let's just try it and see it. Him and the cameraman got within, I think he says 17 yards, and the wind's blowing right to this big monster mule deer, and he doesn't spook. He said it's amazing. So you've got your spot and stalk hunters now. You can take this wafer that we make and just put it on your pack.
Oh,
put it on your backpack. Nice. So if you're spotting stalking and you got a wind swirl or something like that for elk hunting, mule deer hunting, antelope, any of those things out west, so we've got that effect going with it too. So,
well, it's the most frustrating thing for me hunting is fighting the wind, and
sure.
it is for everybody, and trying to gain an advantage with that has been difficult too, because for years I've tried everything, and then always the wind will always switch on you at the time when you don't want it to, and it ruins your hunt.
Right.
And I think a product like this, I'm really excited about using this fall.
Oh, yeah.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, it's a game changer. I got a little story to kind of go along with that.
Yeah.
In my local hometown, we had a new conservation officer come into town, and I'm known for my deer that I killed. and I'm not here to brag on myself, but I've had scent thief. And so in Missouri, we can't feed them, so I hunt them over where they're eating, whether it be a food plot or an acorn tree. I'm in the acorn tree.
Yep.
My furthest shot in Missouri has been 7 yards my whole life, and
With a bow.
it's
Amazing.
And,
It amazes me. It amazes me.
So the conservation Don, he comes in and says, Russell, he said, I need to know what's going on. He said, you're well known for all these big deer, but he said, I can tell you right now, you're doing something illegal. There's no way you can continually, year after year, kill these 170.
I wish I had that
I thought the same
reputation.
thing. I know it. Hey, Hunter, we need that problem done.
And I said, well, I'm going to do something, Don. I said, I'm going to take you when I go to shoot my next one.
There
I
you
want
go.
you to go with me. And I said, would you do that? And he goes, yeah. I said, I'm going to place a double in an acorn tree, and we're going to kill a giant out of it. And I want you there to watch what happens. Well, that's when I introduced him to scent thief. And we went and sat in that tree one afternoon. I called him, and I said, now's the time. Let's go kill him. And we go in there. That buck came in 5 times. I didn't kill him the first 4 times, and he hit me in the head. So, what in the world? What in the world? This buck coming in, he's eating acorns. He's going back over and bedding down about 80 yards. Get up and come back. I told him I just wanted to show you the full effect of scent thief. That deer had no idea that me and him both were in the tree. I shot him at 3 yards at 173.
Oh.
Had no idea. And Don was so blown away. We've become good friends, and conservation officers don't have a lot of good friends,
Right.
But we became good friends, and was able to take him on some bear hunts and stuff. We go to Canada on bear hunts and showed him what scent thief
Man,
do.
that's great.
Him and his son and his family, they're all big scent thief. He's got grandkids now that's using scent thief. We're very, very well known in my hometown because of that.
Yeah.
And so, but I wanted to share that story.
Man, that's great.
Because, when you start shooting them kind of caliber deer, you always wonder, okay, the guy's doing it at night or he's doing something wrong. But this will allow you to put them on your wall.
Right.
David and them's coming up this year, and I can't wait for him to get there. I want to get him started on some 170 class bucks.
Yeah.
And we've got them lined up, and they're going to see things they ain't never seen before in their life.
That's
And
awesome.
It's just an amazing product. Don't be afraid to use it. It does have a smell, but it has to have that smell in order for it to work. And it's also a tool. So if you're smelling it, you know darn well you ain't got anything to worry about it. But if you're sitting there and all of a sudden you start smelling cedar or oak, oh, I'm starting to smell something. Yeah, And for humans,
Just
it takes a
reapply.
lot more. Just reapply.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine. They're going to come in. Don't be surprised they don't lay down under you because they're very comfortable.
Hunter, another thing I want to make sure that people understand. It's such a cool thing about the hunting industry today is there's so many products out there and so many different backgrounds. But I love the story of this. I love the fact of you've got a good old country boy who was a trapper who put everything into it, and it's his baby, it's his product. And then you had a wonderful family come in and said, hey, we're capable of helping you out and taking this to another level. And then I was able to meet that, come on board. But then their son, Jacob, who's 27, 28 years old, got his first baby any day now. And so now Jacob has come in with the marketing. So you've got the foundation, you've got the family coming in to support it, and then you've got a young up-and-comer who's the future of it. And so it's really a neat situation, a great story of just a wonderful Christian-based people that are good. And for some reason, they wanted to hire me. And so
David, you come in a little earlier than that too, and had been helping us, because we just met David, and Jay got to become friends with David, and he'd ask him for advice all the way along. We just couldn't afford him.
Yeah.
And that's, a scent thief kind of turned the corner, and thank the Lord we were able to come up with the funds to get the ball rolling. And David's actually taken us to another level. He's been with us since January, and we're just going through the roof. So I'm excited to be here.
we're so fortunate to be a part of Green Top.
Yeah, I
if
want
you're on
that-
the East Coast, you got to be in Green Top.
Yeah,
And so
I want
anybody knows
everybody
that
to
for sure.
come by and talk to me a little bit about scent thief. I want to show them the smell test. And I definitely, with this opening seasons tomorrow,
Yeah, that's
they
right.
definitely want to grab a bottle of scent thief.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
gonna
I mean,
be, it'll
we-
be a game changer.
But there'll be thousands of people over the next couple of days,
Yep.
so it's gonna get a lot of people's attention.
Yep.
What's cool too is I'm excited to use it this year and to be able to share maybe your heist, you'll call it. If you get to kill a deer using scent thief
Yeah.
and share this story or of how you got it done, that'd be interesting. But How many different, before we close it up, how many different sizes does this come in? I mean, that's a great size to take at a stand or a blind with you.
Yeah, we have a 12 ounce, we have a 24 ounce, we have a 32 ounce refill bottle.
Okay.
I guess we have a trophy pack and a hunter's pack, but we could also sell it by 55 gallon, which we do.
You'd be surprised at the outfitters that want that.
Yeah,
I bet.
You're not going to the stand without using this.
They'll tell everybody leave everything in your room, and you're not leaving here without scent thief.
Well, could you take, like, what if you went to Africa to hunt? Could you take something like that to Africa?
We are working on some things there. We're not quite there. We did have a capsule, but the capsule, when it got cold, didn't completely dissolve and plug up our sprayer. So we're working on ways for that, but we just not quite got
just to
there.
drop it in a bottle of water. But you can carry this with you. You just have to check buggage.
Right.
You can put it in there and use it over there for sure.
You know, we're working on the other side of that, but we're just not quite there
Unless
yet.
you know a couple of dealers over there that won't start selling it.
I don't know yet.
Green Top Division of South Africa.
South
Let's
Africa,
get Blaine in here. I'm sure he'll set that up for you. Huh? Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, hey man, Russell, this is an awesome story,
Yeah,
man. Thanks for taking the time to sit down and talk about this. I'm sold. I mean, I did the test. I can promise you, this is this is exciting stuff.
Yeah, you'd be amazed. And I get them phone calls because I answer the phone. If I don't, I call back.
Yeah.
But one of my big things is helping people get a big deer.
Yeah.
You know, I love doing that more than anything. And this product to do it. And one of my big things, I'm on the phone all the time about it. I got a guy that calls me and says, man, this stuff ain't working. How do you know the product's working?
Yeah.
And I just simply say, put her on speakerphone. We're going to go make sure that I didn't mess up on my product.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that it's working. Because the product will work 100% of the time.
Yep.
There's no if and buts. We're going to test the product, and then we're going to find out what you did wrong. And every one of them guys just did not reapply.
Yep.
And so they grabbed the bottle, and I'd have them go out in the yard and grab some manure, put it in a bag, and they spray it down. So, oh my gosh, yeah, the product's working. And spray down, and then 2 or 3 days later, I got a picture of a big deer.
Hunter, do you have a dog? Do you have?
Not currently, no.
Okay, so but when most people have a dog and they crate the dog.
Yep.
And I always say, well, if you took that, took a treat, you give your dog a treat, everybody's like, yeah, okay. Okay, if you took the treat and threw it in the crate, would the dog eat the treat when he went in there? Well, yeah. Okay, well, what if you wrapped it up in a paper towel and kind of put it up under his mat? Would the dog, and he don't see you do it, but it's in it, would the dog eat the treat? Well, yeah, he'd eat the napkin and everything. All right, now watch this. You know how much that dog wants that treat and how much he lives for that treat. You wrap it up in a paper towel, you spray it in Scent Thief, and you stick it up, you do the same thing, and that treat will be there 3 days later.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what the guys that have the professional dogs or the bird dogs or the ones that really, he's like, there's no way. I was like, try it.
Yeah, and there's some YouTubes
That's
out there
amazing.
where people are doing different things with the dogs and everything. But yeah, we did that test actually in San Antonio, Texas, and we were there 3 days and the dog hadn't touched it yet. And the guy swore up and down that dog would have ate it. And so it's a great thing. There's a lot of uses for Scent Thief if you're in the cattle business, from everything.
Sounds like it. And not just for deer hunters, but guys that predator hunt.
Yes.
They have the worst luck with the wind.
Yeah.
And it is very difficult hunting coyotes.
Sure.
I mean, whether it's here or
One
out
of the
west,
toughest
wherever,
things out there to get.
it is tough, man.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is your scent control.
It is.
And something like this, I think, is just totally a next step for better success in
My
coyote
son
hunting.
and his buddies actually went out last Saturday. My son comes home on the weekends, and they go out every weekend and kill these coyotes, and they killed 14.
Oh wow,
Two sets.
That's a good one.
And so I mean, it's just every time they go, it's 10 or 15, and I mean they waylay them.
That's good.
But
And because they
absolutely
reapply.
They reapply.
Exactly right. They reapply.
Yeah. So buy plenty of it. Buy the refills
Yeah,
and
you
get the
definitely
spray
going to want to
bottle.
spray more of it. But I tell everybody, take the challenge. If you got a big buck you're after, you definitely don't want him to know you're ever there. You go in to set your cameras. You do anything in that woods, hang a stand or whatever. Always spray Scent Thief. You're not going to want to drive that buck nocturnal.
Yeah.
You want to keep him coming in the daytime. You want him to know you've never been there. And don't forget, they can hear and they can see. Get into that stand quiet and use Scent Thief, and you're going to see things you ain't never seen before in your life.
That's great. That's awesome. Russell, David, thanks for doing this today.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks
Looking
for
forward to
having
this
us.
weekend. We're going to have a good time and sell a lot of Scent Thief.
Absolutely.
There you go, brother.
All right. Thanks, guys.